Welcome, tender hearts drifting between fantasy and reality. Welcome back to the one place where the pulse of Turkish celebrities echoes like waves between two continents. You're watching Turkish series stars. Tonight, prepare your heart and lend your ear, because this isn't a simple rumor mill. It's a voyage, an emotional crossing of the Mediterranean, chasing a man who seemed to choose the West, only to feel the tug of home. Our focus is on Gökberk Yildirim and that invisible, unbreakable thread that still links him to Cemre Arda. If you thought their chapter had been closed and tucked away, think again. Before we slip into this storm of feelings, clues, and the fragrance of white lilies, do that one act of belonging that keeps this community alive. Subscribe, tap the bell so no whisper escapes you, and if you want to truly empower our storytelling and access exclusive treats, press the subscribe button with conviction. Your support is our constellation, your like is a warm embrace, your comment is your voice joining our chorus. Are you ready to understand why Gökberk came back? Get comfortable. Let's begin. Dear friends of Turkish series stars, it didn't start beneath the minarets of Istanbul but under the glare of Italian television lights. It looked like any routine appearance, the kind where stars chuckle through anecdotes, promote a project, and keep their private life in a safe locked drawer. Gökberk Yildirim, poised and effortlessly magnetic, was celebrating milestones abroad. Then, amid the glossy phrases, a fault line appeared. A line slipped out, unplanned, unguarded. Like a confession that had grown too heavy, there are pieces of Istanbul I carry with me. Some places, some people, they don't leave. The host caught the tremor behind his smile and, with the precision of an archer, let fly a single name, Cemre Arda. Silence spilled across the studio. He didn't brush it aside, didn't joke, didn't dodge. He smiled with a sweetness tinged by ache, glanced down at his hands as if the answer was written in the lines of his palms, and breathed, certain things don't disappear so easily. That was the spark that set the internet blazing. Fans who had never folded away their hopes erupted with feverish theories. But not even the most ardent romantics could predict what would follow days later. At Rome's Fiumicino airport, cameras caught him not on his way to an international set, but holding a one-way ticket to Istanbul. The lens froze the instant, understated clothes to blend in, a zipped bag, and a face where longing and resolve met in a quiet storm. An Italian insider offered a detail that shifted everything. Gökberk decided this for deeply personal reasons. He's closing chapters here. There's something unresolved at home he needs to face. And yes, Cemre is part of it. Istanbul received the rumor like a homecoming it had been rehearsing in its dreams. The wind carried it from the Bosphorus to backstreets and rooftops. When photographers caught up with Cemre Arda after a shoot, her composure was a piece of art trembling at its edges. With a careful smile that concealed a battle, she said, anyone can return when their heart calls them back. Istanbul is always here. The story, though, whispered through those who know her. Sources close to Cemre admitted she had been different, quieter, thoughtful, gaze turned inward. She even cancelled 2 major meetings, a surprising move for someone who is famously tireless. Coincidence? At Turkish series stars, we've learned not to believe in coincidences. Then came the jolt that cracked the ground beneath Turkish showbiz. Gökberk was seen in Cemre's neighborhood. He wasn't simply passing. He pulled over, stepped out, and walked into a flower shop. He did not choose red roses, those loud messengers of passion. He chose white lilies, symbols of new beginnings, of cleansing, of a heart freshly washed by rain. Bouquet in hand, he made his way to a well-known apartment building. He went inside and didn't come out for hours, murmured a neighbor who requested anonymity, as if naming it might shatter something delicate. Was it Cemre's apartment? No one would confirm. But the signs became a chorus. The next morning, the internet caught its breath for a moment, then screamed with delight. On Cemre's Instagram story, no words, no music, only a mood. A warm cup of coffee steaming beside an open book, and on the table, unmistakable, a bouquet of white lilies like the faint perfume of hope. In minutes, her followers filled the ether with joy and trembling optimism. We never stopped believing, they're finding their way back, true love takes the long road, then returns. Neither Gökberk nor Cemre issued statements, but the charge between them thickened the air. At a charity gala, a bold voice posed the question point blank, "Did you come back for her?" With the calm of a man holding a sea inside him, he answered, "Some stories deserve another chapter." He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. The media frenzy went from embers to wildfire. Talk shows, blogs, and even nightly news carved out segments for the unexpected return. Was it merely professional? Or something deeper, rooted in the pulse that called him home? A prominent entertainment journalist said during a live broadcast, he didn't return by chance. He kept his focus abroad, but the heart kept tugging at an unfinished bond. That bond has a name, Cemre. Around Cemre, the circle tightened, a shield against the gusts. A close friend recalled a moment that raised goosebumps. She wasn't prepared. When she heard he was in Istanbul, she went silent, then sighed and asked, "What am I supposed to do with all this now?" Just one sentence, but it carried a lifetime's weight. Was it fear of reopening wounds? Or the dizzying possibility of a second chance she never dared to expect? Fans divided themselves into cautious hearts and fearless believers. Some begged restraint, "Don't get carried away, this could be a coincidence for work," while others clung to destiny, that love didn't end. It paused. This is the continuation. Hashtags with both names trended, a digital choir pleading for a happy ending. And the clues kept stacking. 2 nights after the mysterious visit to the building, both were seen at the same Nişantaşı hotspot. He arrived first with his manager. An hour later, Cemre appeared with a friend. No photo placed them at the same table, yet witnesses swear that at one point, Gökberk rose and slipped toward a hidden room at the back. Precisely where Cemre had drifted minutes earlier. A secret meeting, far from lenses and lifted phones? That night, Cemre posted another story, a handwritten line in a notebook, "Some doors latch themselves, others wait for your knock." Ambiguous enough to deny, pointed enough to haunt. By morning, he shared a black and white photo, no caption, just a soundtrack whispering the truth, Tiamon's Volver playing in the background. A detail fanned the flame brighter. Rumors claimed Gökberk had temporarily hit pause on negotiations for his next Italian series. He wants a little space, rethinking from another angle, shared a source at the Italian network tied to the project. Another sign that his priorities had shifted from career math to matters of the soul. Meanwhile, insiders whispered that Cemre had asked her team for ironclad discretion. She sidestepped interviews, cancelled a fashion appearance, and reduced brand engagements. Watchful followers noticed she quietly removed a recent Italian campaign from her profile. Was it a symbolic goodbye to the era that took him far from her? Or a gesture to make room for something tender and local to grow? Speculation fed the city. Photographers waited on corners, engines idling, questions ready to fire. At every sighting of either, the same chorus rose, "Are you back together? Are you giving it another try? Is reconciliation coming?" No confirmations. No denials. In the vacuum, glances spoke louder than speech. At the opening of a charity exhibition, a reporter pressed again, "Your fans want to know if there's hope." There was a light in Gökberk's eyes that hadn't been there for months, and his smile carried it forward. Hope is stubborn. Sometimes we return not to repeat the past, but to rewrite it. The room seemed to exhale. Strip away the noise and one fact remains. Gökberk Yildirim is not in Istanbul by accident. And Cemre's heart, careful, scarred, brave, might be listening. Perhaps this is not a revival of what was, but the birth of what could be, written with humility, with caution, and with the slow bloom of lilies on a morning windowsill. So, dear friends, what do you make of this unanticipated return? Can a love this intense be rewritten without reopening every old ache? Can two people who know each other's strengths and soft spots shape a fresh story, wiser and braver than before? Tell us your theories in the comments. We read them all, and in your words we hear the heartbeat of this community. We've reached the end of tonight's tale, the kind that leaves us gazing at the ceiling, imagining keys turning softly in long-closed locks. What the journey between Gökberk and Cemre teaches is simple and profound. Sometimes life loops in vast circles only to deliver us where we were always meant to stand. We at Turkish series stars will keep watch over every lily laid on a table, every melody shared, every quiet look that says more than a press release ever could. If this story moved you, touch that like button and share it with someone who still believes in forever. Don't forget to subscribe and support us through the subscribe button. It's thanks to you that we can keep weaving these modern fairy tales of stars, cities, and second chances. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next video, where the Turkish spell never breaks.